What's up developers, it's Dari here, and welcome back to a new video where we're going to continue on with the 13th episode of our FilamentPHP video series, where we're going to deploy our FilamentPHP project on a VPS hosting. A VPS stands for Virtual Private Server, which is a type of hosting that uses virtualization technology to create several virtual servers on a single physical server. Each virtual server works independently with its own operating system, CPU, and RAM, allowing users to have more control and customization over their server environment compared to shared hosting. Now you might wonder what advantages hosting a Laravel application on a VPS hosting has, since there are many different hosting options. It includes greater control and customization over the server environment, as each virtual server works independently with its own operating system, CPU, and RAM. This allows for more efficient resource utilization and better performance compared to shared hosting. Now, as you might have noticed throughout this entire course, we're going to use Hostinger as our hosting provider. Hostinger is a web hosting provider, but it even adds more to that. You could set up a shared hosting, cloud hosting, VPS hosting, email hosting, and SSL certificates. But those aren't specifically the reason why you should choose Hostinger, since there are tons of other web hosting providers available on the web. So let's talk about a couple advantages regarding the VPS hosting. So in the browser, let's go to Hostinger and VPS hosting. And if we scroll down, you'll find a couple advantages right here. And the first one, in my opinion, is the biggest one, because it's regarding their storage and processors. With the cutting edge technology that it offers, you can experience rock solid performance for your web projects. And the best part, it's available on industry leading HPE and DELL servers spread across 4 continents. You also have full ownership of your hardware resources thanks to the industry standard KVM virtualization platform. So if you have an exciting project idea, I think that this is incredible to have. Secondly, Hostinger offers lightning fast speed and reliable uptime. With their fiber connected infrastructure, Hostinger offers a blazing fast 300 MB per second network speed. This makes VPS hosting a pretty solid choice when it comes to building e-commerces, gaming platforms, streaming platforms, or pretty much anyone who needs a lightning fast website loading speed. Finally, it's backup and snapshots. At Hostinger, your data is safe with their automated weekly backups. This means that you can rest assured that your data is protected in case of any unexpected errors or issue. But what if you need to perform major changes to your system? This is where manual snapshots come in. With Hostinger, you can easily create a manual snapshot of your system at any time. This gives you the ability to revert to a previous version of your system within minutes in case anything goes wrong. Overall, having backups and snapshots is crucial when it comes to VPS hosting. With Hostinger's reliable and easy to use backup and snapshot features, you can ensure that your data is always safe and secure. Now on this page, if we scroll up, you will find 4 different packages that Hostinger has to offer regarding VPS hosting. All packages have their own discount, ranging from 57% to 63%. Now looking at the prices, I got to say that the prices are pretty affordable when it comes to hosting. If you host a Laravel project on cloud hosting, you most likely will pay a little bit less or maybe even the same depending on where you're going to host your project. If we look at the features that these have to offer, you'll see that the bottom 5 are featured on all the packages. It offers AI Assistant, it obviously offers full root access, it offers a dedicated IP address, which basically means that an IP address is assigned to a single virtual private server instead of being shared among multiple servers. This has tons of advantages because it allows for greater control and customization over the server environment, as well as increased security and flexibility. And it offers a weekly backup. Now what about the advantages that will change depending on the price? You will receive more bandwidth, and bandwidth refers to the amount of data that can be transferred between your website and your visitors within a certain amount of time, typically measured in gigabytes per month. This completely depends on whatever you need for your application. A website with low traffic and small files may be fine with 1 GB of bandwidth. But a website with low traffic and small files may be fine with 1 GB of bandwidth. But a website with higher traffic or larger files may require significantly more bandwidth to function properly. Secondly, it offers NVMe SSD storage, which is a type of high-performance storage technology that uses non-volatile memory express, so NVMe, protocols to communicate with a computer's processor. It also provides faster data transfer speed and lower latency than traditional hard disk drives, and even traditional solid-state drives. For smaller projects or websites, 50 GB might be more than enough. However, for larger projects or websites with a lot of media files, 15 GB may not be sufficient. It's important to consider your specific storage needs when choosing a hosting package. They also offer a variable of RAM, and RAM stands for Random Access Memory, which is a type of computer memory that allows data to be read and written quickly. It is a crucial component for running applications and programs on a computer. For smaller projects or websites, 4 GB might be sufficient. However, for larger projects or applications that require more resources, 4 GB might not be enough. Finally, they offer different vCPU cores. vCPU stands for Virtual Central Processing Unit. It's a number of processing cores that are available to your virtual server. The amount of vCPU cores that you'll need will depend on the specific requirement of your project, such as the amount of traffic that you will expect and the complexity of your application that you will be running. In my opinion, a good starting point is to choose a hosting package that offers at least 2 vCPU cores, and then scale up as needed. Which brings us to a dubio, right? The FilamentPHP project we created can easily be hosted on a KVM1 package, but personally, I would choose using 2 vCPU cores, so let's choose the KVM2 package. So let's add it to our cart. Right here, you have 2 options. You could either choose to pay for 12 months, or you could pay for a single month, which makes the price more expensive since it will be $18.99. Quick note, Hostinger offers a 30-day money-back guarantee, which allows you to test it out and see whether any type of hosting suits your requirements. Honestly, I love hosting providers that give me the option to host a project for a month. You obviously need to host a project for longer, but having the option to test out different hosting options is a huge plus in my opinion, because you can test out different types before you make a final decision. Personally, I think that a 12-month plan is more profitable, so I'm going to stick to the 12-month deal. And if we scroll down to step number 2, you will find an overview of the services you're going to purchase. We have a plan, which has a discount of 58%. It is a total of $116.01. But there's always a but. Right under the total, you'll find have a coupon code link. And once we click on it, you'll see that it opens a input field with a button where you can add a coupon code of code with Dari. Apply it, where you will see that the discount has been changed to 62 because it will give you an additional 10% discount. Paying around $100 for 12-month VPS hosting is a great deal. For now, we're going to add the payment credentials right here, and I'll see you back once you have created your account. Alright, after purchasing my VPS hosting, I've been redirected to this page where I can start the setup. So let's click on Start Now. And right here, you will see that it's prompting us with a question asking us to select the location for our VPS hosting. The location of a VPS hosting server can and will have impact on website loading speeds and overall performance. This is because the physical distance between the server and the user can affect the amount of time it takes for data to travel back and forth. So you basically have to select a location closer to your target audience, so it will ensure faster loading time and better user experience. Since I'm currently located in the Netherlands, I'm going to choose the Netherlands right here. Now let's click on Continue. Alright, and for the next step, it's asking us to choose an operating system. There are 3 options right here, and one of them is an option that we're not going to use, which is the one to the right because it's for WordPress. So we're left with the OS with control panel and a plain operating system. Now come on, we're developers. I completely understand that you want an OS with control panel, but I personally prefer to use a plain OS, so I can use a VPS manager that I want to use to connect later on. So in our case, let's click on plain OS. The next step is for the type of control panel we would like to use. And right here, we need to select the operating system for our VPS hosting. You will see 3 recommended options, but you have a complete list of other options. You have Debian, Rocky, and Ubuntu. Regarding Linux and Ubuntu, they are both operating systems based on the Unix operating system. Linux is an open source operating system that is available in many different distributions. While Ubuntu is a specific distribution of Linux, the choice between Linux and Ubuntu would depend on your specific needs and preferences, as well as the compatibility of the control panel you choose. I personally have always used with Ubuntu, and I don't really have a specific reason for that, so I just want to stick to that as well. So let's click on Ubuntu. Let's click on Continue. For the next step, we need to set up our VPS hostname, our root password, and we have the option to add an SSH key. So we can change our VPS hostname. We can do that later on. Let's create a secure root password. And I'm going to leave the SSH key option open right now. So let's click on Save and Continue. It's showing us an overview of what we have selected. The VPS location is in the Netherlands. The operating system is Ubuntu. And the hostname is, well, generated by Hostinger. So let's finish our setup, and this will take a moment or two, so pause the video and I'll see you back once that's done. Alright, as you can see, we're located on our H panel where you will see an overview of the server. On the VPS information tab, you will find your dedicated IP address right here, the status of your VPS, which is running, which has not been set because our VPS has just been created, the current operating system, the location, and the node. In the SSH Access tab, you will find information on how you can access your application through SSH. You will find your IP address, the user, the password, the port, the IPv6, and the terminal command to access your SSH. Now on the final tab, which is Plan Details, you will find some information that we have covered before. But one pretty cool feature about VPS that I want to show you is the Manage VPS section right at the bottom, where you can upgrade your VPS on the go. In other words, it's scalable, meaning that you can upgrade your plan without having any trouble. In case you want to do that, you simply need to click on Upgrade VPS. Now I don't want to cover all the tabs to the left right here, because we do need to continue on with the installation part, which needs to be done through a VPS manager. A VPS manager is a tool that allows you to manage your virtual private server through a graphical interface. It provides an easy way to perform tasks such as installing software, configuring settings, and managing files. Now the VPS manager that I recommend is named ServerAvatar. I'm not going to cover the setup part because it is pretty straightforward. I'm simply going to log into my ServerAvatar and continue from there. So pause the video and continue on when you're ready. As you can see, I'm currently logged into my ServerAvatar account, where I can connect to a new VPS hosting. So let's click on Create. Now let's say Server. Alright. Like I've just mentioned, ServerAvatar is a VPS manager tool that allows you to manage your virtual private server through a graphical interface. And I think that the screen right here should make a lot of sense for most developers. You can connect to a custom server, but you can also choose between Amazon, DigitalOcean, and a couple other options. What we need to do is selecting the custom server because we have our hosting provider, which is Hostinger. Then we need to add the server name, which we can find in our overview, the VPS information, right at the top, which is the server name that has been auto-created for us. So let's paste it right here. Then we need to add our IP address, which we could also find inside our panel right here. So let's copy it and paste it right here. Then we need to add our root password, which we have created, but in case you have forgot your password already, you can navigate to SSH Access and change it right here. This will take up to 60 minutes, so I'm not going to perform that. I'm simply going to add the password that I have created. The SSH port is 22 by default, and if we navigate to our overview, you will see that the default SSH port is 22. Then we need to select our tech stack, and I want to use Apache, so I'm simply going to use the LAMP option. I want a database of MySQL, and I want to install Node.js. Makes sense, right? The typical setup when you want to deploy a Laravel application, but this time on a VPS server. Let's click on Connect Now. Alright, as you could see, we're connected to our VPS, and the installation part right here might take a bit. So once again, pause the video and I will see you back once this is done. Alright, as you could see right here, our environment has been set up, and there are so many configurations you could see and configure right here. From databases to server load to memory usage to disk usage and even to application users. I can't cover these all, so I want to continue on by setting up our project. I want to deploy my project through Git. So let's quickly click on the Integrations tab in the sidebar, where you can see that you can link your Bitbucket, GitHub, and GitLab accounts. I want to choose link my GitHub account, so give me a moment. And as you can see, my GitHub account has successfully been linked to my server avatar. So let's click on the Servers tab. Now let's click on the server that we have created. Now the next step is creating an application. So inside the sidebar, you will see applications. Let's click on it. Let's create a new application. And I'm gonna make a test project. So I'm going to enter a basic application name. Let's say Hostinger FilamentPHP. It will be on a test domain. And the test domain will also be Hostinger FilamentPHP. Now let's click on next step. Well, apparently my subdomain has already been created. So let's say Hostinger Filament. Next step. All right. For the second step, we need to select a method and how we want to deploy our project into our application. I have added my project into a GitHub repository, which you will find right here. So what I can do right here is click on Git, select the service provider, which will be GitHub, where you will see a couple options that we could add. And here comes the tricky part. Whenever you are working with a private repository, you need to add a deploy key to your project. Right now, my repository right here is, where is it? Private. But once this video goes live, I will change the visibility to public. And if we navigate back to ServerAvatar and click on public, you will see that we don't need to add a deploy key. And you can simply use the HTTPS URL that you can find right here to clone this project. Now this is the easiest method, but in 99% of the cases, your repository will be private. So let's set that up before we continue on. In GitHub, let's click on the Settings tab, where in the left sidebar right under Security, you will find a Deploy Keys option. And once you click on it, you'll see a new option where you can add your deploy key. Right here, we need to create a new title and add a deploy key through ServerAvatar. So let's navigate back to ServerAvatar, click on Private, say Generate SSH key. Let's copy it. Let's navigate back to GitHub. Let's name it ServerAvatar. Let's paste our SSH key inside the key text area. There's no need to add ServerAvatar write access, so let's add our key. Alright, as you can see, it has been added. Alright, as you can see right here, our deploy key has been successfully added. So let's navigate back to ServerAvatar, because we need to select our account, which will be info@codewithari.com. Let's select the repository, which will be Hostinger-Filament. And we need to select a branch, which will be the master branch. And then you have the option to add a deploy script. Now, whenever you open my GitHub repository, which I have linked in the description down below, you will find the deploy key as well. But I will keep the steps right here relatively easily. So let's add a couple commands right here. Let's say git pull. After the git pull, we need to clone the .env.example file. So let's say cp.env.example to a file named .env. We're going to run the php artisan key :generate command. We're going to install or update Composer. So let's say composer install --no-dev --optimize-autoloader. We're then going to run php artisan route cache, php artisan cache clear, and finally php artisan migrate. Now let's click on next step. Then we need to choose our system user. I don't recommend using admin right here, so let's choose new user. Let's name it Code with Dari, and the password will be very secret. Click on next step. Then we need to select our PHP version. For Laravel 10+, I'm always going to use PHP 8.2. Let's click on next step. Now let's review it for a moment, and everything seems fine. So let's say create application. Now there's one more setting that I want to update real quick. So let's navigate to servers. Let's open our server. Now let's click on settings right here because I want to update the PHP CLI version to 8.2 as well. Now if we think about it for a moment, there are some steps that we have missed, right? We haven't created a database and we most definitely haven't set it up inside our .env file. So let's click on databases. And right here, we're going to create a new database. We're going to name it Hostinger Filament. We're going to set up a custom username and password, where the username will be code with Dari, and you will see my password in a bit, which will be test1234 exclamation mark. We're not going to add the remote IP, so let's click on create a database. And as you can see, we have been prompted with a message saying that our database has been created successfully. So what we could do right now is navigating to our applications, open our Hostinger FilamentPHP app, where we have an option in the sidebar which says File Manager. Once we open it, you'll see a familiar structure. So open the public.html file, where we need to show hidden files. And right here, you will see the .env file. And once you open it, you can edit it right here. So I'm going to keep it simple right here. I'm going to change the database name to Hostinger Filament. The user is code with Dari. And the password is test1234 exclamation mark. Let's click on save. It takes 5 seconds, so give it a moment. Click on yes, I'm sure. All right. Now, if we navigate back to our application, you'll see that somewhere, if it shows up, we'll open our project first. It has a primary domain. And once we click on it, you'll see a forbidden, which means that the error code is 403. This is happening because Laravel doesn't really understand our project structure, and we can create a new hidden file named htaccess. So let's navigate back and let's open our file manager again, the public_HTML. Let's say create a new file. Let's name it .htaccess. Let's tick the show hidden files checkbox. Let's open our .htaccess file. And I'll just add a piece of code right here as a comment, since it's very easy to make mistakes right here. So just follow along or copy the comment or from my repository. So I'm going to paste it right here. I'm going to click on Save Changes. I'm going to wait 5 more seconds. All right, yes, I'm sure. If I navigate back to my local host and refresh it, you will see the second error, which is a 500 error. And this is happening because our deploy script couldn't be performed since we had no database connection. So what we can do is 2 options. Change it in ServerAvatar, or we could open our VPS, copy our terminal command, navigate to a terminal, paste it right here and hit enter. I do want to use a fingerprint, so let's say yes. My password is a password that I have added myself. And as you can see, I have been connected. So what I need to do right here is change directories into my home directory. If I perform an ls, you will see a code with Dari directory. So let's say cd code with Dari. If we perform another ls, you will find the directory that we have created ourselves. So let's say cd hostinger, another ls, open the public directory, perform another ls where you will see a Laravel project. So pretty straightforward right here. Let's say composer update. All right, it's installing all packages that are required. Then we need to run the PHP artisan key : generate command. Finally, we can run the PHP artisan optimize : clear command. Once we navigate back to the browser, open our local host and refresh it, you will see that our Laravel project is visible in the browser. If we change the endpoint to dashboard, you will see that our FilamentPHP project is available. Now this was it for the video of my FilamentPHP video series. Once again, don't forget to use my discount code of Code with Dari when you're going to subscribe to a plan of Hostinger, where you will get a 10% discount of any hosting plan. And if you do like my content and you want to see more, leave this video a thumbs up. And if you're new to this channel, please hit that subscribe button.